Working harder does not make you wealthy, and this is what Naval Ravikant has spent decades thinking about the fundamental difference between people who build lasting wealth and people who stay stuck chasing income. Let's discover why almost everything you have been taught about money is pointing you in the wrong direction. What wealth really is. Most people think wealth means a big salary, but that isn't wealth. That is the appearance of wealth. Naval's definition is sharper than that. Wealth is owning assets that generate value while you sleep, not a paycheck that stops the moment you stop working, not a lifestyle that requires constant income to maintain. Assets, businesses, equity, content, code, capital. Things that produce value independent of your time. Here is why this distinction matters more than almost anything else. If your income stops when you stop working, you're not building wealth. You are renting your life out. And the day you can no longer work, everything stops with you. Why most people stay stuck. Most people are stuck not because they are lazy or unintelligent. They are stuck because they were taught to optimize for the wrong thing. A steady paycheck, a safe position, a respectable title. And so they spend their best years getting very good at something that was never going to make them free. No matter how high that salary climbs, the moment you stop showing up, it stops too. And it gets worse than that, not because people are failing, but because they're winning a game that was never going to set them free. The power of ownership. There is one move that changes everything: ownership. Not a better salary, not a promotion, not a side hustle that trades your evenings for extra cash. When you own equity in a business, when you own an asset that produces value, something fundamentally shifts. Your effort is no longer kept by your hours. A coder who builds a product owns the upside. A creator who builds an audience owns the attention. A founder who builds a company owns the growth. Naval's argument is simple. If you are not building ownership, you are building someone else's wealth. Every hour you work without equity is an hour that compounds for the person above you, not for you. Ownership turns your work into a system, and systems do not clock out. Leverage is the multiplier. Ownership is the foundation, but leverage is what makes it scale. Naval identifies three forms of leverage that matter most: technology, capital, content. Each one allows a single person to create impact far beyond their individual effort. One piece of code can serve 1 million users. One video can reach 10 million people. One smart capital decision can compound for decades. Think about what that means. Two people, equal talent, equal hours. One sells their time directly, the other builds something that scales. 10 years later, they're not in the same place. They're not even in the same game. Leverage does not just multiply your output, it multiplies the distance between you and everyone who is still trading time for money. Specific knowledge and judgment. Most people try to get rich by becoming more useful, doing more of what everyone else is already doing. But Naval's argument cuts deeper than that. The real advantage is not being useful, it is being irreplaceable. Specific knowledge is the thing you know or can do that cannot be easily taught, copied, or automated. It is built at the intersection of curiosity, obsession, and experience. And here is what makes it powerful. Judgment compounds. Every great decision you make builds trust. Every pattern you recognize opens a door someone else cannot see. Every rare problem you solve increases your leverage. Over time, the person with the sharpest judgment does not just earn more, they get called first, trusted most, and replaced by nobody. Why status is a trap. Everything up to this point has been about building, but there is a force working against you the entire time, and most people never even see it. Status. Status is the need to be seen as successful before you've built anything that lasts, and it is expensive. That car that signals you have arrived, the apartment that matches your title, the lifestyle that keeps pace with the people around you. Naval's warning is blunt. Status is a game with no finish line. And all the time you spend to close that gap, you're not building wealth, you are burning it. Status is for other people, wealth is for you. One is about how you look in a room. The other is about whether you ever have to enter a room you don't want to be in again. That is the difference. and it's not a small one. Freedom as the real goal. At some point, the conversation has to stop being about money, because money is not actually what anyone wants. What people want is freedom. Freedom from debt, freedom from dependence, freedom from obligations that own your time before you do. Naval's position is that wealth is not the destination, freedom is. Wealth is simply the most reliable tool for getting there. And here's what that actually looks like in practice. Waking up and deciding how you spend the day, saying no to work that drains you, being present for moments that do not come back. No amount of salary buys that, but ownership does, leverage does, judgment does. The goal was never a bigger number, the goal was always a simpler question. Are you free? Long-term games. Most people overestimate what they can build in a year, and catastrophically underestimate what they can build in a decade. Naval is emphatic about this. Wealth is not built in sprints. It is built by staying in the game long enough for compounding to work. Not just financial compounding, compounding trust, compounding reputation, compounding relationships with people who are also playing long-term games. Because here is what shortcuts actually cost you. Every time you choose a quick win, you reset the clock. Every time you burn a relationship for a transaction, you lose something that would have compounded for years. The middle of wealth building is not glamorous. It is quiet, repetitive, delayed. It looks like nothing is happening, until suddenly, everything is. The people who win are rarely the most aggressive. They are the ones who never stopped. Modern wealth in the AI era. Everything Naval has argued about ownership and leverage was always true, but right now, in this moment, it has never mattered more. Artificial intelligence is not coming for the builders, it is coming for the replaceable. Every role that requires presence but not judgment will be filled by something that never sleeps and never asks for a raise, and that changes the stakes entirely. The people who thrive in this era will not be the hardest workers. They will be the one who understood early that the game was never about effort alone. It was always about what you own, what you built, and how far it reaches without you. Practical takeaways. So what do you actually do with all of this? You start by being honest with yourself. Ask yourself what ownership came with it. If the answer is nothing, you already know what that means. Then you find the one thing you can build that does not stop when you stop. Then you cut the status spending, because every dollar that goes towards looking wealthy is a dollar that will never become wealth. And then you do the hardest thing of all. You stay. When it feels like nothing is happening, when the people around you are chasing faster wins, when the results are invisible and the effort feels thankless, you stay. Because the gap between people who build real freedom and the people who spend their lives chasing it is never talent. It's simply this. One person stayed long enough for the compounding to begin, and the other one didn't. Money is not the goal, freedom is the goal, and wealth is simply the best tool ever invented for buying it. The question was never how hard you are willing to work. That was never what separated the people who built something real from the people who spent 40 years building someone else's dream. The question is simpler than that, and harder than that. Are you building income, or are you building ownership? Because one of those answers keeps you in the game, and the other one is the game.